And we're back at the Monogram Hearth Oven. And I've had a great question, friends. And that is, how low does it go? Well, let's find out. It's a great question. How low can a pizza oven cook? And I'm gonna go to custom here. And quite frankly, I don't know, because typically when I'm working with this machine, I need it hot. I need it at hundreds of degrees, if not 1,000 degrees or more. Let's try 200 degrees. That seems like a reasonable place to start. Because, I want that nice crisp pizza and I want it done right now. Okay. Well, let's see here. It's registering down to 70 degrees and 73 degrees, which is ambient temperature. Look how quickly that dome heats up. I'm gonna turn the dome off. Okay. I don't know, can we go down to 99 degrees? By golly, I think we can. Let's make it an even 100. Okay. Oh, that's 199. There we go. Okay. And I'm gonna see if I can get that dome down 100 degrees. Okay, so am I getting heat in there? 100 degrees is basically more or less body temperature. So I don't know if that's gonna register, give us a meaningful temperature increase. So it already says we're at 100 degrees on the dome. Okay, and here's a little secret. You can actually see the elements at the top. I think there's 12 of them, and they're kind of arranged in like a dome shape like this. So heading from the front to the back, they're domed like this. And each one of those electric elements, when it gets hot, because it's trying to heat up the oven quickly, they get red hot and they actually illuminate the inside of the oven. There's not a light in there separately, but it actually gets quite bright in there, so you can tell visually that the oven's really kicking on and doing a lot of work. So I can just look and see that 100 degrees, I don't think is really registering from the dome. And then the stone is coming up, but it's coming up extremely slowly. Now, one of the things you can do when you're preheating this is that the stone takes, let's say, 30 or 40 minutes to preheat. The dome, the upper part, takes seconds to preheat. And I'll illustrate that here in a little bit. So go ahead and get the stone preheating, and then when you're ready to cook, just kick on the dome separately, and it goes almost instantly. Okay, so it's saying 85 degrees. It's been a few minutes. We're in real time here, and you can see now it's starting to kick on here. There is an electric element underneath this stone, and it's calling for heat. 90 degrees. I'm feeling absolutely no heat. Now, what would you do at 100 degrees? Well, you could proof your bread at this low temperature. So, can it be used as a proofing oven? Sure, I think it can. I would definitely do that with the dome off. And why would we want low temperature in this oven at all? What if we can bake in this like a regular oven? What if we can do cookies and cakes? Let me know down in the description if that's something you want to see us try. Now, I've been experimenting quite a bit with this oven. Now that it's up to temperature, a couple of things I've realized that are neat features that I haven't shown you guys before. One thing is the timer. So the timer doesn't turn the oven off or even really beep at you. It's just a reminder. Let's say I'm putting a pizza in there. So I can set the timer. I'm going to do 1 minute. Okay. Now, it will ask me, do I want to rotate food on? Sure. Final check. Sure. And finally done. Okay? And when I hit start, it starts the timer. So what we're going to see here is it looks to me like no matter what time you set it at, you get the reminder at half the amount of time. So in 15 seconds here, it should pop up on the screen a turn reminder. Let's see here. Let's wait anxiously 5 more seconds. Rotate food. And it's very subtle, but you can see there's a wheel, a dial that's spinning, it's closing. See how it's a little darker here and it's kind of moving along. I wish that was actually a little bit more pronounced. And then we're gonna get here a final check notification. There it is, final check. I wish that was a little bit more pronounced, so if I was farther away, and there we go. And then it's ready to start again. If I was farther away, let's say I was on the other side of the kitchen, and it was a big, maybe, it doesn't even have to be color, but just big line, that would be helpful. I can see the benefit of that, particularly if I'm doing 2 or maybe even 3 pieces at the same time. Starting that timer, and then when the rotate food goes in, add the next one, and then maybe starting another minute timer. That would be a good reminder to help you kind of keep up. Okay, we're at 100 degrees. Okay, I can feel the stone. The stone's hot. It's hot to the touch. It's not burning me hot because it's only 100 degrees. And the dome, I don't want to touch those elements because I don't want to burn myself. I'll tell you, the ambient temperature in here is actually still pretty cool. Like, it's cool to the touch. There's what they call an air knife. It's a blade of air that comes down right here, and it helps keep the heat inside the oven when this is really cranking at high temperature. And it's pushing cold air right now. It's completely cool. So I think it's recirculating air from inside the oven. And then up here, when this thing is running at full chat at 1300 degrees, this air is very hot. I wouldn't say very hot, but 100 to 140 degrees, and it's cool as well. So that's just telling me that the stone's doing its job, the dome is not. All right, I'm gonna crank up that dome and see what happens here. I'm gonna go up to 350 degrees. Why? Because that's what temperature we cook when we're doing cookies. And you're gonna see here, with any luck, it will call for heat in just a moment and really start to fire up those upper elements. And look how fast it's rising in temperature. Look at that, it just races to the top. It's really amazing how immediately it builds heat on the dome side. There you go, 350 degrees. Now, is that a true 350 degrees? I don't think so. I think the stone isn't at 350 degrees yet. The interior hasn't preheated. You need all the baffles and all the metal to really get hot for a while, particularly at these lower temperatures. But it's starting to get hot in there. So I think when we try to bake in this, I might do 350 in the dome and then maybe a slightly higher temperature on the stone. I'd be curious to know what you think. So how low does it go? Well, it goes down to as low as you need it to go. Let's see here. Does it go down to 50 degrees? It does. Oh my gosh. Does it go down to 20 degrees? There has to be a limit. It does. What about the dome? Can it go down to 1 degree? Will it register 1 degree? Interesting. When I went to 1 degree, it didn't like that. It set it up to 406. Okay, so there's definitely something in there that says, no, I don't want you to be 1 degree. 25 degrees. This is not even a meaningful temperature because, of course, 25 degrees Fahrenheit is freezing, and there's no refrigerant in this thing. So, 50 degrees is, below room temperature, which is typically around 70, 72 degrees. The dome, well, as the lowest it can go is to be off. But let's see here if that'll go 20 degrees. What if we go 1 degree? Let's see if it jumps up to 400. We do 1 degree again down here. Will it freeze food? No, it jumps up to 406. Okay. Well, this is interesting. I think it goes down low enough for proofing. That would be meaningful. If you're air drying something, maybe for those of you that make beef jerky or dry fruits, I bet this oven could be configured to do so. It's not designed to do that, but it has enough of a temperature range that, you know, if you were looking for that 70 or 80 degree ambient temperature on a cold day, 100 degrees for proofing, or maybe dehydrating, I bet there's better options to dehydrate. A lot of modern stoves and ovens have dehydration features built into them these days, and I'm told that they work very well. I'm not a jerky man myself. I wish I was. It's just not a craft that I've ever adopted. But it's interesting to find out that this thing has such a range of temperatures. Finally, how high does it go? Well, I understand that the dome can go up to 1300. So there you go. 1300 degrees, not 1301. Okay. And watch this. Once it calls for heat in earnest, you're going to see it go off to the races. Look at that. It's taking big chunks out of the temperature. And again, here's that preheating wheel closing. And as I make adjustments, oops, oh, what is this? Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm not quite sure what I did there. I haven't seen this yet. Display brightness, volume, lockout, that makes sense. Preferences, what are my preferences? Advanced, Wi-Fi, reset defaults, temperature units, so Fahrenheit and Celsius. I bet you can mess with it enough that it asks you to reset the defaults or reset your Wi-Fi. Advanced settings, it's asking for a pin. I have no idea what the pin is. Volume, I didn't know that it had. Oh. Okay, let me turn it up high so you can hear. Display brightness, high, good. Check food reminders. That is in that sequence where you add the timer. Preferences. We're back to that. Control lockout. I don't want to go in there because I don't want to lock it out and not be able to get back in. Interesting. Okay, back to custom. Okay. Now, a mistake I've made is I've been making adjustments and I don't hit that preheat button, and then it turns off. You'll hear the fan go kind of die down a little bit. If you don't hit that preheat, you're not building heat. Okay. So 1300 degrees on the stone. How high? 800 degrees on the stone. Okay. I like that it reminds you. One thing I wish that this would do is not give you the option to go any higher. So when you hit stone, it just topped out at 800 and all the other numbers went away. And on the dome, 1300, it took away all the other numbers and only really gave you that. It might be nice to be able to like swipe and have the numbers go up and down. And let's face it, we're not going to do really finite degree by degree changes. So maybe just every 5 or even just 10 degrees, you know, or even 20 degrees. I don't care. 720, 740, whatever. That might be a good way to utilize that, clean up this control panel a little bit. I don't know if my opinion counts with the Monogram Oven as far as the engineers and designers, but if it does, that's my opinion. Now standing here, I'm feeling a fair amount of heat radiating through to the point that I actually want to back up a little bit. And here's that brightness I was talking about. Once it gets hot, I feel like, and those elements go off because it's at that new temperature, I feel like it throws less heat out of the front cavity, out of the opening, and it just kind of stabilizes. But right now, I'll tell you, it is hot standing right here. But during normal operation, I'm in here doing pizzas, no problem. Well, this has been an interesting study in the highs and lows, how low and how high will the Monogram pizza oven go. What do you need 1300 degrees for? Well, I mean, if you're doing a lot of pizzas, and you're putting a lot of ingredients in there in a short amount of time, you want to have enough extra heat built up into the oven that it maintains its temperature. So there is a precedence for that. And also if you're making really thin pizzas and you want to get that nice kind of cracker crust, or that nice crisp. Well, what have we learned here? Well, I would say if I were a Monogram engineer working on this device, there's a proofing setting that you could easily add. You hit that, boom, it takes you to 100 degrees and maybe it stabilizes. That'd be a really meaningful and easy to do, probably easy to do upgrade to this oven. Because below 100 degrees, let's face it, this oven is not really doing anything. It's just above room temperature. So I personally could see cleaning up the dials a little bit and just kind of eliminating the numbers that aren't needed. But it's nice to know that that range is built into it. I think that shows that this has a wider range of ability engineered into it than maybe they're advertising right now. I love the Monogram Hearth Oven. If you haven't checked out the other videos, make sure you visit my channel, and while you're there, make sure you hit the subscription button. I really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. This is Chef Bosch.